Hello and happy Monday to everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed the weekend. This is episode 13 of the Foxhole feed. Lots to go over today. Now, over the weekend, this story broke out and it was pretty wild and pretty crazy. Now, apparently Forbes has an article up regarding Chris Roberts, the person who's directing Star Citizen. Now, it states that there's allegations that people who left the team, who used to work for the team for Cloud Imperium Games, which is another developer that was part of them, that they feel that Star Citizen is apparently not a real thing. So I didn't say that in too many words, but they're clearly suggesting it. Now, what they state is that there's allegations that the funds used in Star Citizen was used by Chris Roberts and his wife to purchase a Pacific mansion, some mansion in the Pacific, using company funds. Now there's also allegations of racial discrimination in the workplace. There's even a claim that they're out of money, that they of the 90 million development funds, 82 million is gone and used, and that they only have $8 million left. Now, the idea of them having $8 million left is quite scary, because it makes you question, well, where did all this money go? So he states that, to have a demo, then, a racing demo at first person shooter level in an area where you could walk around for 82 million, he states that, clearly this is questionable as to where, did this money go if this is all we have to show for it. Then you have another side of the spectrum of where this thing gets very interesting, where you have people who are working there, or who used to work there, who also state the complete opposite. They say it has to do with feature creep, as to suggest that they're trying to make a project and keep adding on features and features and features and features, and states that Chris Roberts has even hired a linguistic, which is likely a dude that deals with languages, so a linguist, I want to say, to create 3 different alien languages. Yes. So if you've been keeping up with Star Citizen, different species are part of Star Citizen. And before I even go further, many of my listeners may not even know what Star Citizen is. Now, Star Citizen, all the way 2012, I want to say, came into existence in terms of Kickstarter. And it was an idea of a space sim to be all space sim, a PC exclusive, a PC to make you bleed, and a whole bunch of this craziness. And it's a space sim where you could go to different planets, land on planets, and it's 100% seamless in real time, and you have different ships and different modules, and landing here and landing there, and all these different, amazing things. It easily sounds like the most badass ass open world concept ever. So they're stating that, we have these modules, and we'll put all these modules together, and it's going to be seamless, and all of this is going to work the way we're saying it's going to work in theory. Now, when I first began seeing concept art for this title when it was first announced, they did say that there would be an economy in the game run by AI and humans, and that you could also play different species, and that the different species would be just like you and I in terms of having different languages and looking different, speaking different, and what have you. So I'll link some videos below just to have you guys get a better understanding of what Star Citizen actually is. Easily the biggest PC title conceived. I would say conceptually it's the biggest. In terms of what it is currently, that remains to be seen, because these reports are making it sound like this may not even be a thing. So what they're stating is that they're hiring big name Hollywood actors for commercials, that they're never going to work on a game. And it's scary to hear something like that. As somebody who's very interested in this game, and someone who has always defended the idea of a game like this existing through how it's been made, I'm okay with how they decided to fund this game, simply because no other publisher on PC was going to make a title quite like this. It just has everything to do with what are going to be your returns. EA and Ubisoft and all these companies, they're going to spend their money on multiple platform games. They'll spend 100 million, 80 million, what have you, on a multiple platform game, because they're going to make that money back very fast. But you're talking about a PC title on a very high-end spec to produce an amount of money to cover the 80 or 100 million. No publisher in their right mind is going to back something like that, as it just doesn't financially make sense on their end. It's already a small install base in terms of the elite PCs. I would say is already a very small install base. To sit there and add $100 million game is like going on the Wii U to make something that's you know, a $200 million project on the Wii U, and you know, on the low install base. No, it's not going to do something crazy like that. But I digress. But they're not gonna do that. So he's stating that, you know, publishers wouldn't do it, but he would do it. But now it comes to question: is it okay that is a possibility he's been like bamboozling people out of money, and that this game doesn't exist at all? Now, what we've seen from Gamescom from Germany this year was we saw the video of them having the seamless walking around and going from ship. So what you saw from that video was they were inside a big mothership. They all left the mothership in real time as a group. They all walked inside of another ship as a group. They all did some hyper time jump somewhere else as a group all together, and then they raided a ship, and then all of them got their places on the ship, and they turned the gravity back on, and they turned on all the different functions of the ship on, and they basically took the ship. One person stayed on the older ship, and they pretty much just GTA'd that ship right the fuck out of there. Now, it's awesome. Everybody likes to see that, because we're like, okay, wow, so all these small modules are coming together to be one big cohesive thing. Now, he's stating that all of these things will come together, or majority of what he sees will come together, and by the ending of this year, he's saying he wants to have us landing on planets in real time, seamlessly. If he's able to even get to that, I think that's an amazing feat, but I still worry if there really is nothing to this game, and there's some truth to what these developers are saying. I mean, we don't know how they left this team. We don't know what's going on with their team. We don't know how they left. I mean, they could be really pissed off and really salty about it. No one really knows the fuck they're going to be acting like in terms of this game. We don't really know. For all we know, they were fired and they're just really pissed off because of it. We don't really know that. But from what they're saying, if other stuff comes out later on that confirms any of this, it's gonna be like, well, you know, we were forewarned. These people were trying to warn everybody about this, and you know, nobody listened. But very interesting nonetheless. It was kind of it was heating up everything in terms of it was heating up everything over the web. Everybody was discussing this everywhere in terms of people debating on whether or not any of this is, how can I say it, fair, not fair. People were debating on whether you should be giving money to something. My piece on it is, look, if you want a game to succeed and it's something that you want to happen, and you want to have you want to be able to fund the success of a project that you want. Like, let's say if I wanted an Onimusha game, and let's say Capcom's never going to make this game. If I want to fund the person to make this game happen, I want to do that. If I get a copy for funding, or I get $30, I get half price or whatever for funding the project or whatnot, then I'm glad to do something like that. I think we do it out of our hearts because we don't really, think that people are going to go out here, bamboozling anybody because of that. I mean, nobody's thinking that that's what's going to happen. But of course, you have to worry about it, which anyone's going to worry about any of this happening right here. So I don't know how this is going to play out. This could be really, 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 really bad. It could be nothing. I mean, so Chris Roberts himself seems to be, waves it off and states that he's stated and he's emailed their director of communications to let them know that the whole dilemma that went on over this wasn't, a real thing, and that, the people who are there they're just criticism for anybody who's looking to make a name for themselves. And those are exact words too, and I'll link what he states regarding that. And it's bothersome because it's like, though he is talking about the article and trying to calm people down, it starts to worry you, because you feel like you're not saying much things to substantiate, I guess, that your side is an innocent part on this. It just sounds more like you're just saying what you want people to hear. But at the same time, it's like, what do you want him to do? It's like, if he really feels that these people are just trying to make a name for themselves, and people are just doing that just because, maybe he feels that way, he can't really, what can he say to defend that? If they're going to say this, then, you know, it's what it is. So how much proof can you need other than a final game? So, and I stress to people that this game itself it's been in development for a while, but not as long as you might think. 2002, mind you, this is the ending of 2012, excuse me, so it's ending of 2012, the development or the Kickstarter that started. So if you count 2013, 2014, and this year, it's only really been roughly 3 years that this game has been in development. Mind you, that's 3 years not off of a brand new engine, but off of a, you know, existing engine. They even have the old Crytek guys who made that engine working there with them. So it's not like it was in a deep development. Horizon, technically Zero Dawn, has been in development longer than Star Citizen has. Though I know that's not the greatest comparison in terms of what they are in terms of games, but just in terms of development time, there are games that have been in development far longer than Star Citizen, and we don't know of those games' developments. We know of this game's developments. So maybe it's merely perspective, because we've known of it for this long. We have this idea that it's taking a long time for its release, when in reality, the games that are in development, you know, longer than this game is, also are announced shortly before they release. This game didn't have that luxury because it's a crowdfunded game. You kind of need to know about it for them to make it and get the funding for it. So it doesn't really work that way regarding that game. But I'll link the videos to the bottom for you guys to check out and see for yourself. I'll link the article from Forbes and The Escapist, and I'll also link the videos to what Star Citizen is. Everybody's confused at this topic I'm talking about. I didn't mean it to take up so much time. This episode just caused so much debate that, you know, it's something that I felt had to be covered. Now on to less depressing development news. Pete HINES of Bethesda comes out to state some information regarding Dishonored 2. He goes on to talk about how it got greenlit, goes on to talk about its development, the team, feedback, a whole bunch of other nice things in this article, links at the bottom. Now, Arcane Studios, the team that's working on Dishonored 2, he goes on to state that when they first made Dishonored 1, you know, they're making a new IP, you know, they're figuring things out. Now that they're working on the second game, he states that the game was greenlit a little bit after they were done with the DLC. They were understood that, you know, they wanted to go forward with making a second title. Now, he states that the team's still trying to find its DNA. They're still trying to figure out the rules of the world, and that they took a lot of that time taking in user feedback to figure out what they were going to do with the actual title. So it seems like they're not really having the same easier time that Bethesda might be having with Fallout 4. I mean, for obvious reasons. You know, one's a new IP that, you know, they have to go back and change things up that might not have worked right the first time, where, you know, Fallout is sort of a set, you know, understanding. They know the world, they know the rules. It's just sort of building on top of that world. It's a very progressive game. So he states a lot of differences between the two in terms of franchises, and that the second installment is going to, you know, evolve the franchise much more. It's definitely going to take them a little bit more challenge, I would say, than you might with other established IPs like Fallout. So even though it's the second, I still think that, you know, he's correct. You still got to figure out things with the world and figure out how things work. I myself didn't actually play Dishonored. I heard lots of great things about it, but I never got a chance to play it. The second game, Dishonored 2, should be coming out at the beginning or early next year. But who knows? You know, things could change. That could not even be the case, because how he's talking about it sounds like, I mean, we haven't even seen, if we have, you know, forgive me, but I'm pretty positive all I saw was sort of like a CG opening. I don't recall actually seeing this game like playing as of yet. So who knows? I mean, this could be happening later into the next year. This team is, you know, fairly new in terms of working on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So who knows? In other even more sobering, even more happy, less depressing development news, Three Fields Entertainment, if you haven't heard of them, you're correct to not hear of them. They're a brand new team. This is formed by ex-Criterion and ex-Burnout developers. Now, they revealed that they're going to be working on a spiritual successor to Burnout, which is kind of cool. So they're working on a spiritual successor to Burnout. Only thing that sort of sucks about this is it's technically not going to be their first title. On its actual Twitter, it states that two things. Our first game is going to be a multiplayer sports game coming spring 2016, and then we're going to make a driving game. So, I mean, it's going to be a while till we see whatever their spiritual successor to Burnout's going to be. But as of right now, their new game is going to be their first title as a brand new team is going to be multiplayer sports game. I don't even know how you categorize that. And other news, if anybody was questioning, or in similar news, if anyone was questioning exactly what Criterion is actually working on, the official Criterion is working on, that wouldn't allow their ex-staff to essentially do a Burnout game, it's because Criterion's actually already doing a game that is just sort of do anything, rive everywhere, and it's sort of like when I first saw this game at E3, it states that it's basically taking advantage of the whole GoPro type nature. If you haven't heard of those GoPro things, it's like those little headsets people put in their heads, and they basically go mountain biking and shit, and they videotape themselves doing them. I know there's a bunch of like YouTubers that like only do that or something, but I'm not about that life. So, but basically they're making a game where it's like you could fly out of a helicopter and then jump into like some skis or some shit, jump off the skis, and then like right after you jump off the skis, do some other wild ass parkour type shit. I don't know, but the game is sort of it's weird to describe it. I'll link a video to the bottom. You guys might recall this title after I link it, because I forgot it completely existed because it was not even at E3 this year. So if you forgot about it, you were correct to. In some strange industry facts, I love me some strange old industry trivia. Now, some strange industry facts surrounding Conker's Bad Fur Day was revealed that Conker's Bad Fur Day, when first created and revealed, was never actually going to be, Conker's Bad Fur Day. So it was a game that had nothing to do with Conker's very like violent nature and violent antics that you guys sort of see on the actual game that releases in 2000. When the game was first revealed, it was actually had nothing to do with that. It was just going to be a regular platformer, and his girlfriend, I think her name was like Babs or something, his girlfriend was also going to be inside of the game. The game was going to be called 12 Tales. And it was just supposed to be a platformer, and like Conker would go across these 12, different worlds, and he would have these different hats for each world. And now Rare states that they changed this due to the actual game, due to the actual genre at the time sort of being oversaturated in terms of having lots of platformers being very similar, including their own Banjo-Kazooie. So because of that, Rare goes back and changes up what 12 Tales was into what you see Conker's Bad Fur Day right now currently, in terms of what they ended up creating. Very, very interesting stuff. I linked a longer video on the bottom where one of the producers sort of talks about the change and talks about the transition between it being this game or 12 Tales to it being what we know today as Conker's Bad Fur Day. Now for our final and our wildest news of the day, of the weekend anyway, that happened over the weekend. One of the craziest news stories you'll hear in a while. A Georgia man going to jail for pawning a Sega Genesis. Upon pawning the Sega Genesis, the store employees find and discover that it's full of methamphetamine. Now, they looked in the cartridge slot and noticed that there was like meth inside of the unit. So there's like meth all inside of here. Not really sure what they were planning to do. Maybe they were waiting for somebody else to I guess buy the actual unit to sell the meth. Maybe they're trying to just trade it undercover, and I don't know. They had to do something. Druggies know their shit. I have no idea why they would do that. This is the craziest story that I've read in a while. Yeah, they can't confirm or deny whether or not Sega Genesis actually worked or not. Funniest news story. Man smuggling meth inside of a Sega Genesis, pawning it. First off, why the fuck is a pawn shop even accepting a Sega Genesis? Now, I'm a huge Sega fan, but what the fuck? So what you're trying to tell me here is somebody is in demand of a Sega Genesis for this pawn shop to give money for? Maybe it's because it's such a low amount of money that it's not that big of a deal to like the druggies, I guess, who would be buying it in exchange to get the drugs out of it. Maybe it's safer for them to deal that way. I don't know. I don't understand the purpose of them doing this. Not a druggie. This seems like one of those professional drug things that they know the reason behind why they do these things. So this has been episode 13 of the Foxhole feed. You guys stay tuned for episode, what was it, 14? That comes right after, right? Also be on the lookout for lots of betas are going to be coming out. On the 6th, I believe Metal Gear Online is actually going to be starting for all you Metal Gear Solid 5 users. And also the beta for Battlefront is going to be starting on the 8th. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday for episode 13. And this has been an episode, so let's game.